Hello. So in the last video, we generated a problem statement for A/B testing product use case sort of an interview question using ChatGPT, and now it's the time to solve it. So I made this quick 5-slide sort of a framework in order to really tackle any type of an A/B test or a product use case type of question. Just going over the problem and the solution. The problem is currently the recommendations rely on individual history, leading to low engagement for less or new users, less active users, and the solution is to create a socially trending products module that shows items trending among similar users, and the primary metric is the click-through rate. So in order to start any type of an A/B test, we need to have a hypothesis. The null hypothesis simply means that there's no effect. So the new module or the intervention has no effect on the click-through rate. The H1 or the alternate hypothesis is that the new module increases the click-through rates, and it's one directional, so it's going to be like a one-tailed test. And because this is very user-centric question, this is going to apply to the broad population of users. However, the target segment definitely is the new users. For the purposes of this exercise, new users is defined as users who have been active on the platform less than 30 days. Less active users are defined as those who have less than 5 clicks or no purchases in the last 90 days. It's an either or condition. The statistical framework we have here in the next slide is fairly common. It's what's used by many companies, which is the basic significance level that we want to consider, which is the alpha, and it's 0.05, which is we have a 5% risk of a false positive, meaning we accept that the intervention actually causes a change in the click-through rates when it actually does not. And then we have a statistical power, which is another very important measure, and most of the time it is chosen to be 80%. So if significance level tackles the type 1 or risk of false positives, then the statistical power tackles the type 2 error, which is the risk of false negatives. So statistical power basically gives us the probability that we are actually able to detect the true effect, if any. It's only for increase. We're only looking for an increase only, so this is going to be a one-tailed test. And decision rule is fairly certain. If the p-value is less than or equal to 0.05, then we reject the null hypothesis. If the p-value is greater than 0.05, this slide is a very crucial slide. Here we calculate the sample size, the duration that is necessary, as well as what sort of randomization we need for the users to be part of the experiment. Generally in companies, there are sample size calculators wherein we can input the significance level, power, baseline click-through rates, expected click-through rates. Expected click-through rates depends on MDE, or the minimum detectable effect. So this is a metric that we can come up with in conjunction with the business or the product team. So once we have all these values and get the sample size per variant, that multiplied by 2, in this case, because we only have a control and a test variant, is going to be the whole sample that we need for our experiment. Once we have the whole sample, we can calculate the duration of this experiment using this formula. Basically, this tells that if my website has a high traffic, then the duration is going to be lesser. For low traffic websites, I'll have to run the test longer in order to observe the true effects with the same power. This particular use case is dealing with new users versus old users. Randomization could be on a user level, and users could be binned at the time of login. So assuming that the users are going to be uniformly binned, the control and test should have an unbiased sample of users. And there's one caveat here, is that even if for a high traffic website, at a very minimum, we want to run it for 1 or 2 weeks, just in order to capture the end of the week seasonalities. If the website has more like if the website is very sensitive to seasonal changes, then this becomes even more relevant. At the end of this, we have a clear picture of how we want to run our experiment as. So we have what's the control, we have what is the test, we have the sample size required, we have how long we have to run it for. And then once the experiment is run, we also need to think about what are the target splits I want to be looking at. And that is where some of the risks and mitigations come up as well. One is definitely cannibalization, meaning because this socially trending module is a new module within the home page, that means we are pushing some other sections down, meaning we might be taking away clicks and impressions from some other sections. So as a mitigation, we have to add some guardrail metrics. Because we already saw that the revenue is very critical to the company, we can use revenue per user as one of a guardrail for this experiment. And we also have the Simpson paradox. That is, sometimes when we aggregate the results on some specific splits, we will be missing out some sort of a negative results that we might be seeing in other splits. So it's important for us to have a very planned segmentation, that is on what segments or splits I want to be looking at my results. It could be like devices, it could be geography or location, or user attributes like age and gender. It's very important to call out assumptions too. As we already saw during the problem statement, that we are assuming that the placement of this module does not really matter, but it very well might. So it's important to call that out as an assumption setting up the experiment. Seasonality is also one of the assumptions that we could call out. So that is all I had for today. Thank you.